Good afternoon. You're listening to the new WCEG Network on WCEGTalkRadio.com or watch us live on your smart TV, YouTube, WCEG Network. I am Celeste Giordano, your show host, along with my co-host Sara, and you're listening to the Global Legacy and Wealth Building. We're the worldwide community empowerment group where we speak life into the community. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and on Instagram at WCEG_talk_radio and at WCEG Network. And last but not least, the topics and opinions are those of the show host and guest and not WCEG Network. Thank you for your continued support. And thank you, Penny Rogers and WCEG Network, for this opportunity to serve our listeners and community. Hi, Sara. How are you today?
I'm doing great. How about you?
I am fabulous. Thank you for being here today. And we have a fabulous lineup. We have Steve Goins with North Gwinnett Kiwanis joining us today. And then we also have Linda Gunter with Love Him, Love Them that's back, that's going to talk to us about opening up the hospital in Haiti. So we have a great show lined up. So Steve, we are glad to have you here. Welcome to the WCEG Community Network. And how are you today, sir?
Hi, Celeste. I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And you know what I'd like to do, Steve, I know that you serve in a capacity with Kiwanis North Gwinnett, but would you like to also introduce yourself and your the other job that you do and where you work?
Sure. My name is Steve Goins. I am a business banker with First Citizens Bank. My market is in the North Gwinnett community, the same as my Kiwanis Club. I'm a 20-year resident of Beaufort, and I have a wife, 2 teenage boys. And well, I take that back. One of my boys is not a teenager anymore. He's in his 20s. You know, I'm excited that I'm able to work and serve in the community where we live and are invested.
Well, absolutely. Well, we're glad to have you. And what I'd like to ask, Steve, is tell us, what is Kiwanis?
Kiwanis is a global community of clubs, members, and partners that are dedicated to improving the lives of children one community at a time.
That's awesome. And so tell me, what are some of the things that the Kiwanis Club of North Gwinnett, what are they involved in and what do they do?
Well, there's several different projects that we do, several different organizations that we support in the community. We've identified 3 primary community partners that we work with, and that would include Wellroot, which is the former Georgia Methodist Children's Home. They are an advocacy group now for foster care and support foster children and foster families. We work closely and identify as a partner the North Gwinnett Co-op, and you know, they do a lot of good work in the community, helping to provide food and shelter. And then our other community partner is Home of Hope, which is the former Gwinnett Children's Shelter, and they are they provide shelter and job training for homeless mothers and their children.
I see. So what are some of the things that Kiwanis of North Gwinnett does in the community?
We work closely with those partners. We also do things such as we provide scholarships for graduating seniors in the 5 area high schools that we support. That would include Mill Creek High School, Beaufort High School, North Gwinnett, Mountain View, and Lanier High Schools. We try to be, obviously we raise funds and try to support our partners and other organizations and folks in the community, but we also don't want to be a check writing organization. So we get our hands dirty and we volunteer and try to support in ways you know, with community service hours as well as with our checkbooks.
Very good.
So how did you become involved? What was the thing that got you out there?
I wish I could tell you, Sara, that it was a noble cause that got me involved in Kiwanis, but in the early 2000s, I was working with a bank in the North Fulton community, And again, I was living here in Gwinnett and needed to get ingrained in that community. So I felt like I needed to get involved into something. And so I looked up several different of the organizations in the area with Rotary, Lions Club, Civitans, Kiwanis. And Kiwanis had one advantage that the other ones didn't. All the other ones either had a early morning breakfast meeting time or a late evening meeting time. Kiwanis and Alpharetta met at lunch. And so I went and visited them, and I was fortunate enough that they invited me to join, and I've happily been a Kiwanian ever since. But, it's not any sort of noble cause that led me there. It was just more of, my idea was to get ingrained and network within that community, and then it built from there.
Oh, that's amazing. We can do all sorts of things with just a little bit of inspiration.
That's true.
How has COVID affected your club this year?
It has been a challenge. There's no doubt. There's never been a president, and my tenure as presidency ends at the end of this month. Our fiscal year begins on October the 1st. I can honestly say that no one's ever been through a year that we've been through. But I can also tell you that, in spite of the challenges, and the challenges include, meeting, we've had difficulty being able to meet in person. When the stay-in-place orders was initially issued and we were unable to meet at our facility regardless, we kind of just sat around and waited for a few weeks, thinking that things are going to get back to normal. But as time went along, we realized that, maybe we're going to have to do something a little different, at least for the time being. And so we started doing virtual meetings. We did, we utilized WebEx initially, and then we moved over to Zoom. And only recently in the past 2 meetings have we been to the point of having the option of meeting in person or doing a hybrid, and you can participate, virtually online as a member. But I say all that to also say behind the scenes, this club has really stepped up when the community needed it and made an impact. And for example, right after the stay-in-place order was in place, if you'll recall, here in Gwinnett, it was the spring break, and then right after the spring break week, schools were closed. That put a big burden on the North Gwinnett Co-op, and their shelves were getting empty pretty quickly. So we made the decision to reallocate we kind of just blew up our whole budget that we had planned for the year. We moved some funds over, and we basically gave $5,500 in cash from our to help them replenish supplies, as well as did a drive to get laundry detergents and other things that they had a critical shortage of. To help them, in that time of need. We also helped the program. The pastor of Buford First United Methodist Church is a member of our club, and he does a program called Sack Kids Lunch on Saturdays to provide lunches when school's not in session, on Saturday mornings or Saturday at lunch. And we bought supplies for them to be able to continue on, for their ministry. Then, as that's going on, one of the things that if you ask somebody what North Gwinnett Kiwanis does, of course we do scholarships, and we fund, the primary source of funding for the scholarships has also been in the area of, we sell Vidalia onions, and we've done that for years. I bet Jones probably hit you up for Vidalia onions.
Oh, I get my bag every year.
Yeah. Every year we get our bag of onions, sir.
I don't need them. I give them all away, but yeah.
10-pound bag is a very large bag of onions. It'll take care of you for a while.
Yeah.
But honestly, this year we're looking at it because April, May is when the harvest comes in, and we start selling and having onions delivered. And I'm sitting here in March, when this thing first starts, and I'm thinking, there's no way we're going to be able to do onion sales this year. We also, we didn't have our key clubs that which is our high school organization that Kiwanis sponsors to help with our sales. Number one. And the other thing is, people aren't going to want us coming to their doors and exchanging cash and bags of onions. I said, we're not going to be able to do this. We're going to have to take a hiatus. But, one thing I can say is that I've had a successful year this year as president because I've learned to sit back and let the people in my club who are talented and passionate do what they do. And so they came up with a strategy that helped us this year to sell onions, and you know, some of it was still the same format, and that we'd drop onions off and maybe, you know, collect afterwards or what have you. But we used the technology that we had to do a lot more online orders. And then, you know, if somebody they could order online, select their quantity, pay, and then we would go and either drop them off at their front door if they're already paid, there's no transaction involved, or we had drop-off sites. Long and short is that we sold over 1,900 bags of onions this year, which netted us a little over $12,500 for ships. You know, which is only off less than $1,000 from what we did last year, which was a record year. So again, in spite of the pandemic going on, we stepped up. Our membership stepped up and did what they do, and they're to be commended. I'm very proud of them.
Absolutely. Congratulations, Steve, and to the entire Kiwanis Club, because it's a phenomenal group of ladies and men that make up that group.
I agree. And, you know, and I give all the credit to them. I just try not to break it for my year.
Well, let me ask you something, Steve. What is the mission of Kiwanis?
Kiwanis, and again, as I kind of mentioned from the earlier statement about one community, one child at a time, Kiwanis is for kids. Kiwanis is going to serve the needs of children, whether that be fighting hunger, improving literacy, or mentoring and guidance. But whatever we do, that's what makes us different from other civic organizations. And our focus has to be, you know, it's geared more to something with children.
Absolutely. And I think you also did you do your youth art show this year as well?
That's, and Joan is very instrumental in doing that. And I hope she's watching, because she does a great job with that. And that's something we've done for several years in a row now. And we support the high schools, the same high schools we're doing scholarships with. We have art, a place to display art and judge art, and provide an opportunity for them to go on the state level and even further and earn scholarship funding for, you know, through their work.
Absolutely. And through those high schools, do you also do some mentoring to some of those students in the
through the key clubs
and things of that nature? Yes, sir.
Yeah. In fact, we have key clubs in all of the 5 high schools that we sponsor. In addition to Key Club, there's K Kids, which is you know, elementary school kids. There's an opportunity for that, and we don't have one of those within our area. And but that's another opportunity that Kiwanis gives for. I mean, basically, you be a Kiwanian from first grade till you know, retiree. We have what's called Circle K for which is the college level of Kiwanis clubs. Then I'll pass that.
Well, that leads me to the next question is, could you tell us a little bit about the history of the Kiwanis Club, how long it's been around, and tell us a little bit about that? Sure.
Kiwanis was established in 1915 in Detroit, Michigan. And a lot of folks, they always ask, well, what does Kiwanis mean? And it doesn't really mean a whole lot of meaning. Well, actually, Kiwanis was established by some businessmen in Detroit who wanted to network. So Kiwanis comes from a Native American word, which is Nunk Kiwanis. And you'll have to Google that, but it's Nunk Kiwanis, which means we trade, because initially the group was set up to be a networking group. By the time 1919 rolled around, the organization changed its focus, and they wanted to serve specifically children, but the name still stood since it was already, you know, in effect. Almost immediately, Kiwanis started opening up other clubs in the area, and we expanded all over the U.S. and Michigan, all the U.S. and Canada. But it wasn't until the early 60s that Kiwanis became an international organization. We opened our first club and chartered in Tijuana, Mexico. And now we are in 90 countries around the world. We have 550,000 members. Annually, Kiwanians host 150,000 as far as internationally in service projects. Due to more than 19 million service hours, and they raise over $100 million annually to support community causes.
That is awesome.
That's amazing.
That is amazing. So how long has North Gwinnett been established?
We were established in March of 1939. And again, it was in Beaufort. It was called the Kiwanis Club of Beaufort initially, and it was stayed that way until 1988. And they changed the name to the Kiwanis of North Gwinnett. And for the past 30 years, we've been known for two things. Particularly as we, if you want to know what our brand is, and it's kind of what we've already talked about. We're the people that sell the onions, and we're the people that use the proceeds from the sale of the onions, and we give it to scholarships in the schools in our area. So, but that's kind of been historically. Although I read something in our minutes from the 50s and 60s. There used to be a fundraiser that we had which involved a horse show. I don't know whatever happened to the horse show, but it was apparently well attended from throughout the Southeast, is what the minutes showed.
That's interesting.
I thought so too.
Very interesting. So how has the COVID situation really affected your club? Have you adjusted well to the virtual and everything? And are you back meeting now? And do you meet, I think you meet what, on Tuesdays at lunchtime? Yeah,
we meet Tuesdays at lunch. And again, we're meeting back in person with the option to do a hybrid. And if you don't want to meet in person, you can still be involved and logging in virtually. One thing we don't have is, we have the best caterer, in all of anywhere I've ever been. We get some good food. It's great for marketing our club, but unfortunately, right now, it's not something that we can. Even now that we're meeting back, we're not meeting and doing lunches. You can bring your own, or we're just not to the point where we're able to do that yet. And we're socially distanced. And taking all the precautions that we need to with the COVID still around, and we don't take that lightly.
No, absolutely. So the meetings are they every Tuesday from 12 to 1? Is that correct, Steve?
We meet 3 Tuesdays a month.
Okay.
Are from 12 to 1. The meeting format, we always have a program which will involve a speaker that's somebody from the community. Right now, as being an election year, we can have a lot of folks that are running for office that want to come and speak to the club. But we'll also have leaders from industry. We'll have authors. People. One of the more interesting speakers we had, and I was surprised and really enjoyed it, and was pleasantly surprised, was a beekeeper. And he kind of, I didn't think I would be interested in that, but it was really fascinating when he shared that. But it kind of runs the gamut. And we might have folks that are involved in a nonprofit cause as well.
Now, do you also do like a business after hours or something for millennials or something?
We did a focus on that. We haven't done it since obviously COVID's taken effect, since now they can log in.
Right.
One of the challenges that civic organizations have is quite frankly, we're aging out. And there's a couple things that we kind of analyze that are going on. Number one, millennials and younger generation, they're really not interested in coming and sitting for lunch once a week and listening to a speaker, but they are interested in community service. And rolling up their sleeves and being involved. So we set up what we call Kiwanis After Dark. And we want to give these folks the opportunity to be Kiwanians, no different than the ones that come to lunch, every week. We only meet, when we were meeting, we would meet once a month, different places around, the North Gwinnett community. And would identify, first we tried to look at it as maybe a networking opportunity for young professionals. That didn't really move the needle much, though. What did move the needle was when we would kind of have an opportunity to come together and focus and attack one project. For example, Christmas time this year, Wellroot, one of our community partners, had 112 kids that they were looking for Christmas gifts for. We did a kind of an angel tree type format. We did it in the After Dark program. And we were able to fulfill every one of those 112, wishes and did, provided Christmas gifts for each of those children.
That's great. Congratulations there, sir.
That's wonderful.
Sarah,
with a backpack drive too for back to school. But again, we'll have a meeting, we'll identify the need, and then the next month, the meeting will be to celebrate the success. And that's kind of the format that we've gone with the After Dark program.
See, I like those. I love those type of projects because it doesn't take long. You start it, you finish, you're done, you see the rewards, and people really like that when you do like those type of projects, right?
It became an attraction. We started realizing, a lot of new members who were joining. And again, it was a lot more economical to join too, because the lunch program included you're paying in advance for your lunches that are being catered. But for the After Dark, you're just paying your Kiwanis dues and that's it. And right. So, but again, the big attraction is I think people saw us out in the community and they wanted to be a part of that.
Yeah, because I'm a big proponent of let's do a can drive or a food drive, but you do it in a 2 to 3 week period. Done.
Yep.
Take pictures. It's done. Move on.
That's right.
Because short and sweet, and it doesn't take a lot of the golf. I've done golf tournaments. That's a lot of work. People have no idea how much work that is. And I've been there and I've done it 2 or 3 times. But you make more money in those things, but you've really got to have people who are willing to put forth the time in those.
Yep.
You can get different groups to help you out in the smaller projects.
My golf committee chairman is looking for his replacement after this year. And again, very successful tournament. Worked hard. He's a retiree. And we were like, well, you're retired, because this has been a full-time job. And it has. It's been a chore, but it's very successful this year. And he's going to take that success and mentor his replacement.
And that's a great way to do that, because then you've got somebody there who's participated, who's done it, who knows how to do it. And then you come in, you learn from them, learn their ways. And then when it's you, then you can change little things and know that it'll be successful still.
That's right.
Because another pair of eyes sees things differently. So,
it's definitely can be refreshing to change it up a little bit too. But again, the experienced folks have the contacts, the template, they know how to make it work. And then if you take that and build on it, that's how you make a successful golf tournament or successful any sort of recurring fundraising type effort.
Yeah.
Well, and it's pretty standard, Steve. I think that every year you sort of do the same thing with the same timing, whether it be the father-daughter dance in February, the youth art show in March, the Vidalia onions sale April and May, and then your golf tournament, and then what you do during the holidays, correct?
That's right. You got to down.
And so everybody really knows that, every year, these are the things that we're going to do where we're serving. And it's great when you get a group of people together that have servant heart leadership. And really a lot of people that attend Kiwanis, I've been to Kiwanis, I've been a speaker at Kiwanis, is that people love to serve.
Yes.
And that's what it's really about. It's about serving and helping other people and helping people in the community and the other nonprofit organizations, because it's the bigger picture than just us.
You're exactly right. And there's a little bit of friendly competition between the different organizations, civic clubs. But I can tell you a good example when we came together, the Lions Club was helpful with us in Lawrenceville with our onion sales programs. And you left out the onion sales in that calendar. I forgot that. April, May onions. But they allowed us to have a drop-off place in Lawrenceville with one of their members who had a business there. And then when they had an opportunity they needed some help, they had a food drive that USDA had some sort of program that provides, farm to table type boxes of fruits and vegetables. And this was back in August. And we had volunteers that, as well as Rotary and some other groups that helped pass out these massive box, stacks of boxes of food to the folks that came and drove through and got it. And it's just very rewarding. It's not like we're in our little silo. We're in this community together, and we're all trying to make it a better place.
No, absolutely. Sarah, you got some more questions?
Tell me about the scholarships to the high school. I'd like to hear more about that. I've got a senior at Mountain View, and
Okay.
maybe she can get one of these.
Maybe.
Tell me about that.
Yeah, she applies through the counselors, through the counselor at Mountain View, because that's certainly one of the schools that we support. I will tell you that this year, when we reallocated our budget, some of the funds we moved were out of scholarships, but we still made sure we were going to do scholarships at some level, and we did. But we do $1,000 scholarships per student. When we're fully funded for that, we'll provide $5,000 scholarships at each high school.
Oh wow, that's huge.
But this year we cut it back to just 2 because again we were moving some funds around. But we actually pre-COVID would have the opportunity to go on campus. We interview the applicants. They have an application they complete, and we go through. We have a panel that does an interview process, and we select based on the number of scholarships we're doing at each school, the ones that are being awarded those funds. And it's a good opportunity for us to see. I mean, if you want to get motivated to go and sell more onions or do the other things we do to fund scholarships, you get on one of those panels and see that, we had to decide between, we only had 4 scholarships to give, and then there's this 5th one that was just as qualified, and we couldn't, it really breaks your heart a little bit, but it really makes you motivated to make sure that you can help these kids. And so this has been something that we've been doing at least for the past 30 years I'm aware of. We started out just at Buford High School, and it's kind of grown. But this year, and again, another reason I'll give credit to our membership, we were going to do scholarships and we're still going to do the interviews. So we set up Zoom meetings and did them that way.
So would you reiterate those 5 schools that you offer the scholarships to for our listeners?
Sure. We do Buford High School, Mill Creek High School, Mountain View High School, Lanier High School, and North Gwinnett High School.
All right. And and I know this through experience of people that I have talked to and friends and clients, that a lot of times parents don't know about these scholarships that are made available in the high school level, let alone the college level.
Right.
And so therefore, what advice do you have for our listeners here today of how they can guide their prospective student to inquire about scholarships that may be offered at their local high school, Steve?
I would think there's two things I would suggest. Number one, get involved in some clubs and extracurricular. Like people in the Key Club, the kids in the Key Club are very aware of the scholarships we're doing. In fact, they're helping sell onions and do other fundraisers to fund those scholarships. But the other thing is the counselors are aware of these, and if you'll ask them, they have been very helpful with us in guiding students to apply. And I think sometimes, our scholarships aren't 100% based on merit. They're not 100% based on need, but they are based on kind of looking at both. But the other factor we're looking at when we award our scholarship is, what have you done community service wise? We're looking for young people who are going to go into college and hopefully come back to our community and dig in and help do some of the things, maybe even become Kiwanians, or if not that, they're coming back and making our community a better place to live. And so
absolutely, Steve. I know you, Sarah, and I mean, this is very common knowledge to us about scholarships and guiding our children, our grandchildren, and things of this nature. But believe it or not, there are a lot of parents out there that don't know what they don't know. And maybe they've never had the opportunity to be involved in a servant leadership position in the community, or, maybe they don't know about the different types of scholarships. And there's several scholarships available on the high school level for those people getting ready to go to college. And there's, I don't know how many different ones there are, but there are a lot. And that parents need to have more information about how to go about that and guide them, because parents that have gone to school, went to college, graduated, come back and serve in the community, they're aware of building or helping their child build a portfolio and servant leadership and things of this nature. But then you also have the other perspective where maybe there's a parent out there that, just graduated from high school, didn't attend college, and never had an opportunity for a scholarship because they didn't go to college. And maybe their parents, worked in factories or something, and they didn't know about scholarships. So, and I think that's huge. I mentor a group of women at a local college that, again, one of these things, you have children, and I say children, you have people that go to school that come from divorced families, broken homes, and things of this nature. And then you have, like I say, some parents that never went to college and they don't know what they don't know to guide their children about
Right.
these scholarships.
Right. So, yeah, I just think it's imperative to have that relationship with the counselors, the guidance counselors at the schools. One thing I want to mention too about our scholarships is I'm proud to say that that in the past, we're not just providing scholarships to a 4-year college or university. If somebody's looking and we think that they merit, just like anyone else, and going to a VOTEC type future, we certainly and we have in the past awarded scholarships to do the for VOTEC school.
Oh, that's great, because we still need plumbers and HVAC and welders. I mean, I was amazed at a kid that I know that went to Gwinnett Tech and became a welder, and he went through all 5 classifications. At the end, he came out, he was making over $100,000.
Yep.
That, I was like floored.
And here's the other thing to tell you, Sarah, as a business banker, the people that go and end up owning a small business, to say as a welder, as a plumber, a heating and air company, HVAC, they're folks that first off have been trained and know how to weld or plumb, is that the right word?
Yeah.
Or to repair heating and air units. So they learn the trade and then develop skills to develop for the business. Maybe they go back to a traditional school at that point, maybe not, but stepping outside of my Kiwanis hat and going to my business banking experience, that's who typically will develop those small businesses that are in our communities.
Absolutely. That I'm just so excited to hear that, because I don't think every kid is meant to go to college. I think some kids are meant to go into vocation trades and that sort of thing. And there is nothing wrong with that.
Steve, I have another question for you. And I know that WCEG Network, their parameters go way out there. I don't know the exact numbers of how far it goes. It's not just in metropolitan Atlanta, but how many Kiwanis clubs do we have, say, in the metropolitan Atlanta area?
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah, I'm not prepared to do that, but I can tell you that a couple of times a year we have the opportunity to go to statewide training, and we have a state convention. If I was to venture a guess, like there's 8 in our division, which would include all of Gwinnett, Cumming, and Gainesville. But there are 4 or 5 different divisions. My guess would be 30, 40 clubs at least in Metro Atlanta.
So does Kiwanis have a national website, or is it an individual chapter website that you could give our listeners if they wanted to look up in their prospective areas? How would they find a Kiwanis Club in their area, Steve?
Well, first off, I will tell you that we as a club have our own website, and I encourage the viewers or listeners to go check us out there, which is www.northgwinnettkiwanis.com. And then the Kiwanis International website is, and give me just a moment on that.
That's okay. Because
my apologies here.
Hey, it's nice to have that computer at hand, though.
Well, I just know that we have a lot of listeners all throughout metropolitan Atlanta. And so for those listeners that are on different sides of the area, I'd like for them to know where they can go to look up Kiwanis and see about visiting a chapter.
It's www.kiwanis.org. That's the international website.
Absolutely. Appreciate that very, very much.
And so now that we're talking, all right, the bigger area, and I see these are the projects you do, like the father-daughter dance, the youth arts show, the Vidalia sale, the golf tournament that you do to raise, that's your largest one. Do the Kiwanis through the region, do they all do the same type of things, or do they all clue into what's best for them?
It might be more geared to what's more appealing in their community too, but certainly what's best for them. I know that in South Georgia, like the Vienna Club, for example, is involved in the big barbecue festival that they have down there. Mm-hmm. I grew up on the south side of Atlanta in Fayette County, in Peachtree City in Fayetteville. The baseball fields in the park in Fayetteville is Kiwanis Fields. The fairground in Noonan is the Kiwanis Fairgrounds. That was something that more so in the past, Kiwanis was more involved in providing real estate and building facilities for the community. I don't know that we do that as much now, but we do still have that legacy out there. But as far as fundraisers and as far as service, it's very varied. We have the autonomy to decide what's best for our communities and to go forth and do what's going to make the most impact.
But you do have some of the Kiwanis that do the father-daughter dance, correct?
There are some other. In fact, I would love to say that we invented the idea, but Joan's brother David actually brought the idea to us from the Kiwanis Club in Valdosta.
Valdosta, that's what I remember.
Yeah. And the dance that they put together there, they've really established, it's the social event of the season in Valdosta. It's 4 sessions, and they'll have like television coverage of the local, affiliate, network affiliate there, filming and reporting on it. And we're not quite to the numbers that they are at, even with our over 1,000 attendees that we had. So we're still striving to build on to get to the point they're at, but they've been doing it for well over 20 years, is my understanding.
So tell me, so let's just say a father-daughter wanted to go. Do they have to be in elementary? Can they be middle, high school? Can it be?
We've had young as toddlers, and I know of one year that we had a lady who was in her 30s who just wanted an opportunity to go spend an evening with her father. There's been some touching moments.
Yes.
And so we don't typically the late session that we do on Saturdays we don't restrict it, but it tends to be an older crowd, and then the earlier session on Saturdays is younger, and then Fridays is a little mixed. But there's no age limitation. again, it might be, a father bringing his, 2-year-old daughter, preferably, hopefully it's something that they can remember and experience. But the thing is, they come back year after year after year after that, and it's kind of really neat. When I do the father-daughter dance, when I work as a volunteer, I work the coat closet, so it's really kind of cool to see some of the same folks coming back every year, and you watch as the daughters are getting older, and the fathers as well.
Well, and what a special occasion, especially in society today with our children. I mean, they grow up way too fast, number one.
Right.
And to have the mentorship of their father and teaching them at a young age I don't know what is the protocol of how to be a gentleman, and how younger generation should be acting towards them as well. So
absolutely. Initially, when we established the father-daughter dance, it was going to be a fundraiser, and in the first few years, that was kind of our focus. But as we kind of got to thinking about it and looking at what was happening, exactly what you said is kind of how we looked at it. This is an opportunity for fathers to take their daughters out for a night, spend some quality time together. I mean, it's red carpet. It's pink chocolate fountain. I mean, every daughter walks away when she leaves with a long stem rose. I mean, it literally is the prom. But what I'll say is, we changed that focus from being a fundraiser to, we said, this is going to be our signature service project each year. So it's not considered a fundraiser, it's a service project. But the irony to all that is that, in spite of the fact, we just said we want it to pay for itself. We don't want to have to expense it to death. I'm sorry for my CPA friend there, Sarah. But we just want it to break even and to provide it as an opportunity for fathers to bring their daughters out. Well, in spite of that, this year, our non-efforts of making a profit turned into about $14,000 in net revenues that we're going to be applying for scholarships next year.
That is awesome. And Dave Williams and the whole Kiwanis Club does an amazing job, with that father-daughter dance. And so our hats off to you for bringing that into our community, for our younger generation, as well as for our fathers, being able to be there for their children and to lead their children by example of what it's supposed to be like, and setting that stage for them, which also leads up into, it also opens doors for people in the community that can donate to these organizations, donate to Kiwanis, like the father-daughter dance, because you need flowers, roses, that you can involve the community. And right. As a business coach, Steve, one of the biggest things that I talk to my prospective clients is it's very important to be involved in the community and give back. People like to do business with people who serve. And a lot of times, a lot of people don't understand the importance of serving. And so therefore, it's important to serve in the community. And there's so many ways that you can do that.
That's very true. And if somebody wants to come and serve in the community and work with us, at Kiwanis, then we would love to have you come and join us and share your talents along with what we have to make us, an even stronger organization and make up even more of an impact on our community.
Absolutely. So, Sarah, do you have any other questions for Steve?
See, my brain doesn't work the creative side, so I don't really think about that much, but you have a youth art show. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, the art show, we work with the 5 high schools, again, the same schools we're doing the scholarships with. And Joan has taken that on in the past few years. She has a relationship set up with the art instructors at the different high schools. And so they'll encourage their students to submit some of their artwork that will be judged by professional, folks who are in the in that industry. I'm like you, Sarah. I'm not very creative and artistic, so I don't know where you find these professionals that are the artists, but Joan finds them and they analyze and determine who they select as the top in different grades and categories and things. And there's some fantastic artwork that is produced by our kids in our area.
Well, and again, another great way to be involved in the local high schools, and for these teenagers to be involved, to be creative and to submit these things. Where is the art show held at? And I think they select those things and bring them to one location. Is that correct, Steve?
That's correct. The city of Sugar Hill has been kind enough to allow us to use their facility, which is in the city hall. But this is the last year we'll have it there because they built a new facility in the development that's across the street from City Hall for the art community. And so we're looking forward to how that's going to work out. Knock on wood next year.
Yeah, that's better. Yeah, but I just love how kids who are very good at sports, they get a lot of opportunities. But I'm looking here and I'm seeing what we give you're giving all types of kids an opportunity.
Sure.
And I think that's so important today because especially in the past 6 months where kids have been at home and they just haven't been out, these are great opportunities for them.
Yeah, and again, we're not just check writers. We're actually getting to meet, to be involved, to see the result of our efforts, and especially when we're interviewing these kids for scholarships and really getting to. If you don't mind, I'll tell you a story. I've served as the committee that does scholarship interviews for Buford High School for several years, and a couple of years ago we had a young man that came to us. He wasn't academically on merit. He wouldn't have been somebody that would have been at the top of the list. Need maybe a little bit. But what really touched our heartstrings and we really felt like he was a good candidate and actually got one of our scholarships was he was telling us about his situation. And that he said he was really hoping to get a car at some point because this is a senior in high school at Buford. His mom picks him up at the end of school every day. She takes him to his job, which was at a fast food restaurant. He works the fast food restaurant until close. Then he comes home and does his schoolwork until, however long that takes. Then goes to bed and wakes up early the next morning and does the same thing over and over. This young man was working full time, as well as becoming a student. He volunteered to work our father-daughter dance. Wasn't affiliated with Key Club or any organization. He just wanted to come and be involved in it, and he had some extra time. I don't know where to do that. So it was just he just touched our heartstrings. And again, he wasn't top of class. Didn't really exhibit the need for a needs-based situation, but I think that young man is someone that will definitely be involved in doing something in the community based on the experience that he provided us.
No, absolutely, we can't do enough to help these youth, I say youth, teenagers, high school students, and to teach them and mentor them about servant leadership.
Exactly.
Because my grandparents taught me. I watched my grandparents. I watched my parents. It was never told that was something I had to do. I learned by example.
Right.
In my family. And not every family has that ability. Yeah. Yes.
Absolutely. So Steve, again, tell us how people can reach out to you at North Kiwanis, and when is your next meeting?
Our next meeting is going to be held on October the 4th, because we don't meet on the 5th Tuesdays of the month. It'll be at the Buford Community Center. We've been meeting upstairs in the ballroom, and they're kind of getting spread out because of social distance. So that will be at noon on that Tuesday. Again, bring your own sack lunch if you want to come and join us. And I'm not sure what the program is that day. I should have checked that out, but we will have a speaker, and it's our first year in the new year. So the new president, Keith Howell, will be conducting the meeting. But if you wanted to get some more information about our club, I mentioned it before, but our website is www.northgwinnettkiwanis.org. And you can contact us. I'm sorry, it's .com, not .org is the Kiwanis International.
The international.
Right. So it's www.northgwinnettkiwanis.com. And then if you want to contact us via email, it's kiwanis.of.north.gwinnett@gmail.com.
Should you pre-register or just show up?
Just show up.
Okay.
We do send out an evite to our membership. We primarily did that back when we were still doing catering. So we would be able to plan for our caterer, but that's not necessary now. And if you're available and can come and join us on Tuesday the 4th, then we invite you to be there.
All right. Well, I have another question for you. Okay. On social media, do you have any social media sites where they can follow you, Steve?
We have a Facebook page, Kiwanis of North Gwinnett, Kiwanis of North Gwinnett. So if you check that out, we are on Nextdoor, and we're on LinkedIn.
And LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Very good. Do you have any last words that you'd like to say before we close the show out? Anything that you'd like to say or share with us?
Well, I don't know if any of my members will watch this. If they are, I just want to again reiterate what I said today during our last meeting of the year. I am very proud of what you've been able to accomplish this year. Through very difficult circumstances, and when the community really needed us, you were there. So, I can't be any more proud to be a North Gwinnett Kiwanian than I am right now.
Absolutely. And you know what? Your strong leadership has a lot to do with that as well, Steve. And we're very appreciative and grateful of your servant heart and your leadership of how you've led the Kiwanis Club of North Gwinnett this past year. So thank you. Thank you very, very much. And congratulations on all the success of the golf tournament, the Vidalia onion sales. Everybody's, COVID-19, pivot, this, that. You guys stayed the course. You did a phenomenal job with leadership and just stayed the course and kept your eye on the big picture, and you're having a successful year, and you're going to finish very strong, Steve. So thank you so much for everything that you do for the community, for the businesses, and for the nonprofits that you serve in the North Gwinnett area. Our hearts love your hearts.
All right. Thank you for having me on this interview.
It was a pleasure to meet you.
You too, Sarah.
Thank you, Steve.
Thanks, Steve.
Wow, Sarah, that was amazing.
That's amazing. They do a lot of good things for the community. I just had no idea.
Well, absolutely. And, and we both know Joan Williams. We know her brother, David Williams, and how they got involved. Again, their father was a part of Kiwanis when they were growing up. And not every child grows up with a parent that serves the community.
Right. And
so, it's just, it's something that we have to do a better job, all of us do, in serving the community and teaching our younger generation about servant leadership. We heard Steve say the millennials, it's a huge thing for millennials. They maybe don't want to attend a meeting, but what they want to do is they want to serve. It's all about what they can do first. What are we doing to serve or do this or change this? That's what they want to do. So, this was an amazing interview with Steve Goins. He did an awesome job. I love, attending Kiwanis, and I've spoken there, and I encourage you, if you haven't been there, to definitely, check that out. And I think Penny has put something in there about, hopefully she'll put something on there of how they can reach out to Steve. So we are about to get to the top of the hour, Sarah, and I want to remind our listeners that they're listening to the new WCEG Network on WCEGTalkRadio.com. They can click the live stream tab or watch us live on your smart TV, YouTube at WCEG Network. I'm Celeste Giordano, your show host, along with my co-host Sara Poe. And this is the Global Legacy and Wealth Building Series. And we're the worldwide community empowerment group where we speak life in the community. You know, Sara, before we get started with our next guest, I know this is our second show today. We had a workshop show earlier, and so Zoom's just been like our whole day today. But why don't you tell us a little bit about you and your company?
Okay, thanks. Well, I am Sara Poe with Poe's Accounting Services. Well, we like to help the small business owner to do his job well, to help him to be able to do his job, and we come in behind him and make sure that the essential things, the financial side of it is done. We love to help nonprofits to grow and to have their taxes done, you know, and those type of things that they don't necessarily have the time to think about. That's where Poe's Accounting Service likes to come in and help. One of my taglines is, we take your mess and present it to the IRS.
Very good. And I'm Celeste Giordano with CelesteGiordano.com. I'm a master sales strategist and a business mentor. I help and serve business entrepreneurs, direct sales teams, and corporations to exponentially increase sales and profit through lead generation, building relationships, and accountability. And it's a privilege and honor to be on the WCEG Talk Radio. And I am looking forward to our next guest, sir. This is Linda Gunter with Love Him, Love Them. And this is her second time being on our show, I think in the last 90 days. And she is just full of vibrant excitement, enthusiasm. And the story that she shared with us maybe 6 weeks ago, maybe it was 6 weeks to two months ago, they have gone down to Haiti and opened up a hospital. So Linda, thank you for being with us today. We are so glad to see you, and we give you virtual hugs and kisses and all the things that you've been doing.
Thank you so much. Here it is, 6 o'clock. Everybody's eating dinner.
I know it. That's all right. We'll get our dinner later.
Me any. I don't see no dinner.
So are you finally settled down from that amazing trip? I love following you on social media over in Haiti and what you were doing and just the amazing stories that you were sharing. I mean, you have so much energy. I want you just to filter some of that this way.
I need some, okay?
Well, I haven't done 4 Zoom calls today, so maybe that's what's sucking it out of you. I don't know.
Oh, I know.
I'll tell you, once you've spent a day or two in Haiti and you can come back and be in the air conditioning, it's very vivaciously energizing. You know, you should see us in Haiti. It's cool. I mean, that 106, I don't even know what it is, 2 million degree temperature. And, you know, I felt so bad. We don't have air conditioning in the hospital. So we got people in there. We've got to figure that out. We got to figure that out because it's really hot. When you're really sick, you don't want to be in really hot weather. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, you know, before we get started, because I know some of our listeners and our audience maybe didn't hear the first show that we did, Linda, is why don't you tell us a little bit about Love Him, Love Them, and a little bit about the website and information, how they can get a hold of you, and then just sort of spool everybody up to date before we dive into this, because it's going to be action-packed.
Okay, sounds good. So Love Him, Love Them is the name of our ministry, and basically it's the Bible in one sentence. Okay, so if everybody would just love Him and love them, woo, what about that? Our world that the way it is today would not even be the way it is today, right? So I am a volunteer. I'm the co-founder of the ministry. All of us in America, with the exception of one person, are volunteers. And our ministry started out of tragedy. My very best friend was tragically taken from this earth. And in the incident that took her life, it also took the father and the grandmother out of the lives of 5 children. Those 5 children just happened to be Haitian. They actually lived in Conyers, Georgia. And I live in Livonia, Georgia, the big metropolis up here in Lake Hartwell. A Walmart, just a bunch of chicken houses. But anyways, and to make a very long story short, which actually the whole story is in this book, this is our first book, Peanut Butter Crackers and Flip Flops, and it tells all the details of that story. But to make a very long story short, on the 17th day of the 7th month of the year 2007, the family living in my home, this home right here that I'm sitting in today, went to the size of 7 with children the ages of 7 to 17. Nobody else in the family wanted all 5 children. I didn't want 5 children. I don't even like children. But anyways, I ended up with all those kids. I didn't even have a vehicle at that time that was big enough to carry them around. I had to borrow a car. I didn't know where I'm trying to let you know how completely unqualified I was for any of this. And if you could talk to any of those kids, they would also tell you, she didn't need to be nobody's mom, I'll tell you that. But anyways, the Lord saw fit to have my husband and I with those 5 children that took our family to the size of 7. And it took me probably 2 years to even figure out where the schools were to put them in school. I didn't know. I mean, I don't even know, 1 in elementary, 2 in middle school, 1 in high school, 1 who had dropped out, was trying to get all of that straightened out, dealing with everything from teeth falling out to driver's license. And in the midst of that, they were all from Haiti. They were all Haitian. So I was also working on trying to get their citizenship. And in the midst of all that, I'd never been on a mission trip, never gone out of the country. I mean, I'm not a mission trip kind of chick. I like to stay at the Hilton or the Hyatt or use my husband's Holiday Inn Express points. But in 2011, to be very honest with you, I was sick and tired of sitting around for 2 and 3 hours at a time, opening up gifts. We would go from one event to the next event to the next event, and it just seemed like a waste of time to me. And we ran our house by family meetings, which were by Robert's Rules of Order, just to keep everything in line. And at our November meeting, I just said, I make a motion that this Christmas, nobody gets anything. And instead, we're going to take all the money we would normally use on Christmas, and we're going to go find an orphanage in Haiti to help. And we're going to use the money and the gifts we would get, and we're going to give it to them. And I couldn't get a second to the motion, because everybody was like, what do you mean by we're not going to get anything? I was like, oh, it means the same in Greek, Hebrew, French, Creole. We're just not going to get anything. But fast forward 2011, my very white husband and our 5 Haitian children and myself got on a flight to Haiti. And it was insane. That was the year right after the devastating earthquake. And it was much more than I had anticipated it was going to be. And it just wrecked me, in all honesty. And what I saw, what I smelled, it was just insane. And one of the places that we went to was a makeshift orphanage, which had children in it who had lost their families in the earthquake. And it was a guy who taught music, and everybody in the neighborhood felt comfortable with him. Some of the kids had taken music from him. And so they all ended up living there. And that was one of our stops. It was actually Christmas Day, 2011 was the first day I met the 30 children that were living in that so-called orphanage. And miracle after, I don't know if you guys have ever witnessed miracles, but in my life, that was when I started witnessing actual literal miracles. I mean, like where you open up a suitcase that before you got there only had a certain number of things in it. And then when you get there, there's like multiple things in there for each child. That was one thing it's like the fish in the loaves.
Yeah.
I guess if I can multiply fish, you can multiply flip-flops, apparently. And we gave gifts to those children. And before we left, we heard them sing. And I was a pretty selfish, mean, I don't know. I don't want to use a whole lot of adjectives to describe myself, but my focus was not really on other people at that point in my life, even though I had taken in the 5 kids. But that day when I heard those children sing at that orphanage that had no running water, no electricity, no ham on the table, no Christmas tree, they didn't have nothing. And yet they sang with a joy that I had not experienced before. And so I was sitting on this urine-stained daybed. Somebody had handed me a 4-month-old child that they had dropped off the night before. And I literally felt like at that moment, Jesus Christ himself tapped me on the shoulder and said, Linda, this is the joy of the Lord. No matter what your circumstances are, no matter what materialistic things you have or don't have, I want you to look at these kids. And Linda, you ain't got that joy. Your joy comes specifically from your circumstances, what you have, what you don't, when your husband does what you want him to do, when these kids do And I left that orphanage that day a completely different woman. And I told the guy that brought us there, I said, somebody needs to bring those kids to the United States. I said, you're not going to believe this, but most people in the United States have everything they need. I mean, I don't know anybody that doesn't have today. I trust you. Everybody in my neighborhood's got their air on or their electricity on. You know, it's light outside and I got lights on.
Yeah.
Everybody in the United States has everything they need. And most of them have everything they want, but they're not happy. They don't have any joy. And I said, you know, I knew that day that those children had changed my life just with that one song. And I realized somebody needed to do that. Well, to make a very long story short, that somebody ended up being me. And so 4 or 5 years later, because you don't just run to the Delta ticket counter and buy 30 tickets for 30 children in an orphanage. We had reached out to every major organization in the United States that had a large footprint in Haiti. And we were told we were, you know, looking for a pipe dream, that it would never happen. The government would never let them out. And before you can get the airline tickets, you have to get a visa. Well, that's not a walk in the park. And before you can get a visa, you have to have a passport. And before that, in and of itself, was insane. And before you can get a passport, you have to have a birth certificate. And the majority of the children we were dealing with had literally were the only members of their family that had been pulled out from underneath the rubble of the earthquake in Haiti. We didn't know birthdays. The entire administration in Haiti had gone kaput during the earthquake. So it wasn't like we could run to the courthouse and look that up. And so that's the level we started at with this project. And yet God saw fit in 2016 that the Haitian Orphan Children's Choir, is what we called them, the Love Him, Love Them Haitian Orphan Children's Choir, came to the United States. And they sang from Fort Lauderdale, Florida, all the way up to Washington, D.C. And they broke hearts. They brought people, they did exactly what they did for me when I sat on that daybed to every single audience that we sang to. It was insane. Whether we were singing for, you know, we had one, I'll never forget one night, a lady at a First Baptist church somewhere told me that her uncle was dying. And we loaded up all the kids and we drove over in the bus and we went into the house where he was dying and we sang. So, I mean, that was an audience of one, audience of three. We sang everywhere from for 3 people all the way up to at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium where there were 85,000 people. And those kids, in 3 years' time, we took back the funding. The first year, we moved them out of that jacked up building they were in, and they had running water, they had electricity. They went back with a computer lab, thanks to a realtor here in town. The second year we went back, and you know, one of the things, Celeste, we realized is people love to help little kids and orphans. Yes. But when they turn 18 and grow up into teenagers and they can't stay in the orphanage anymore, people aren't so excited to help that group of people. And so we realized we had to make something for them. So we started a transition home. I opened a vocational school. To make a very long story short, after 3 years of those children singing, we opened up the medical facility. We opened up the transition home, the vocational school, and we currently have 6 locations in Haiti and are feeding over 5,000 children a day.
Oh,
Isn't that insane? That's amazing.
That is awesome.
To top that off, as if you could, 22 of those 30 kids from that orphanage that we were at on Christmas Day in 2011 are currently living in the United States of America on student visas with host families, or they are in the process of being adopted by families here in the United States. So that's crazy.
Well, you know, Linda, you and your team have done an amazing job with Love Him, Love Them, and with those children from Haiti. I mean, I get teary-eyed every time I hear you talk about that.
Oh, well, it's, you know, it obviously was a plan that God had. It sure wasn't my plan. I mean, my husband and I, our book opens with our first date where we made a deal at the Embassy Suites in Charlotte that we weren't having any kids. And now we got like 5,000. The joke's on us, right?
Absolutely. So since the last time we talked with Love Him, Love Them, you've been busy opening up a hospital in Haiti. So tell us a little bit, how did that go and how is Haiti today?
So Haiti's in a hot mess. Just actually got off the phone. I had a little leeway time there between 5 and 6 and got off the phone. We have a guest house in Haiti also where we welcomed all of our mission teams. And teams are not coming right now because we're at a level for, well, even when I went to open the hospital, we were at a level 4 security, which was do not travel. But the issue right now is the fluctuation of the food. So she was literally calling me about paying the staff at guest house. And she said, if I give them the same amount I gave them last week, like 40% less than what we paid them last week. She was like, what do you want me to do about that? So I don't even know how the world works about money, or I didn't know if we had anything going on in the United States. But right now, something that's $1 today in Haiti could be $10 tomorrow, which is very interesting. But Celeste, the most exciting part about the hospital, you know, the reason we opened the hospital was like maybe 3 years ago. We already had the church there at this location where we put the hospital. We already had the vocational school started, and even though it's in the middle of nowhere, it kind of looked like there was something there, right? So a lady had come down. One of the big modes of transportation in Haiti are motorcycles. They're called motorbikes, and they're used as apps or like a taxi. And a lady came down the mountain who was about to deliver, and the tap pulled into our location, seeing the other buildings and assuming there was medical help there. Well, there wasn't. There were teachers and pastors, but there was no medical facility. And to make a very long story short, they pulled in, she was in labor. The next place for a hospital was about 4 hours away. And we lost both the baby and the mother.
Oh.
And so that was devastating for me to think somebody pulled in there to our location thinking that was happening. And so we decided that day we were going to open a medical facility, but we didn't know how, we didn't know what we were doing, which has never stopped me before. So we just kept moving forward. So this medical facility that we had been planning is 3 stories high. It was including surgical on the second level, just a huge hospital. And then the way we were raising the money for that was with children. Well, the children all got homes. They all got places to stay. And we tried to get visas for a new choir from one of our other orphanages. The visas were denied. And then this year, COVID-19 hit. We couldn't go anywhere and sing anywhere. And so I was like, what are we going to do? How are we going to finish opening this hospital? How are we going to raise the money to do that? And so we pivoted. And so instead of
there's that word, pivot.
Instead of opening a 3-level hospital, we opened a 1-level medical facility. And so the grand opening was August the 29th. But here's what is, on August the 29th, we had the huge grand opening. We had every city official that was from anywhere near where we were located, the police chief, everybody was there. It's like a 4-hour ordeal. We saw 58 patients that very first day, gave away all free services and all free medicine. And then we had Sunday, and then Monday was the day we were to open. So we were supposed to open, and we were going to be open from 8 o'clock to 3 o'clock. It's our little medical place. The lady walked in off the dirt road in labor. It's like an exact repeat of why we opened the hospital. She comes in, and they put her in the room with me, who's never had a baby. And they said, the doctor came in, Dr. Roberto came in, and he looked at her and he goes, all right, she's got about 2 hours at the most. And I looked at my watch, it's 2 o'clock, and I was like, but we close at 3. What are we gonna do? We ended up delivering that baby that day. And since that moment, we haven't closed because Dr. Roberto said we have to stay open for 6 hours. We have to monitor her. The next day we had twins. The next day we were out of beds. The next day we had to hire a nurse. I mean, we've only been open for 22 days. Today's September 22nd. And that place has exploded. We now have to send we're sending another container down in 2.5 weeks. We need an ultrasound. We need to be able to do sonograms. Celeste, we had 21 women come in those doors of that hospital in the first 2 days who were 7 months or further along pregnant and had never seen a doctor. The lady that came in with twins, that had twins the second day, didn't even know she was pregnant with twins.
So,
Wow.
wow. So let me ask you something, Linda. So is your foundation or your 501c, does it own that hospital there? Are you funding it? Are you
That's our
supporting it?
hospital.
That's
So
your
that's our
hospital.
hospital. It's our hospital, our vocational school, our 6 locations, our orphanage, our kids. That all came from, yeah.
From you guys. So
Yes, ma'am.
you have somebody over there that manages those different things?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. Pastor Maxo. And actually, I have his son here. If I could get his attention to come in. After we had helped all of the children from the orphanages come here on student visas, the gentleman that's in charge of everything there, reached out to me one day. He was like, hey, I have 4 kids, could you help a brother out here and get somebody else in school? Which, I completely forgot about him. Yes, we have an entire administration. It's completely Haitian run. The only American that we have there is, we do have an American in our guest house, simply to help welcome the Americans when they come. And we have had 4 to 7 American interns who have been in Haiti at different points in time to help us train the choir, to help us with the orphanage, different things. But other than that, no, our entire administration is Haitian.
So was it difficult to go through the paper trail or whatever to have a hospital and then find a doctor and medical supplies?
Medical supplies, extremely difficult. We either have to ship them over in a container or we have to go to the Dominican to get them. Doctors and nurses, are you kidding me? They are standing in line. If I had the funding, I could hire 600 doctors and nurses today. The paperwork, everything in Haiti is done exactly backwards. You get up and going, and then you once you start reporting your stats and different things, that's the way the facility works there. So, and we're still having difficulty with medical supplies and medicine.
And medicine. Okay.
Yeah.
So all that medicine and stuff, does it come from the United States or does it come from the Dominican Republic? Where does it come from?
What we have there now has come from both places.
Both places?
Yeah, we have, and the ideal situation is to have medical teams that are continually going down to be able to serve and to bring that with them. But we do have access to the Dominican. I mean, and there, COVID-19 in Haiti, we have a 4% death rate. Figure that out. So all of these very, very poor countries, I mean, if we could figure out what in the world they're doing, because they got it figured out. So Celeste, we're really pretty excited because we are combining an international project with a local project at a time of year that is going to be needed the most, a time that we can all be thankful for what we have and to be able to share for others. So there are so many ways you can get involved with the Thanksgiving project this year by either packing, serving, delivering, providing cranberry sauce, turkeys, funding the turkeys, or being a sponsor for that event. Lots and lots of ways to get involved. And because our organization started with our family, we want you to bring your family. We want you to bring your kids. We want your children involved. And we make sure at every event that we have something that those children can participate in to be a part of it so they grasp what they're doing, because that's what changes their future. And they're able to see how blessed they are and can be involved in it.
So do you have a warehouse or something up in Livonia where you meet and do this, or a building?
We need a building. You got one? We need an office. Right now, our office is in the front of a pool company that they've donated to us, but it leaks. So we have to make sure we move the printer every time before we come in. So we borrow. We're very innovative. I'm a cheapskate. I won't pay for anything, but we borrow a school because school's out that week. So we borrow the school. We use the cafeteria. We use their gym. And we're able to set everything up. So the minute they're out of school, we hunker in there and we've got it for that week. So that's how we operate. It's actually an old elementary school and it's used for a Head Start program now. And it's in Livonia, Georgia, which is kind of right in the center of everywhere that we deliver.
Well, you said that you're going to be feeding 3,000 local families for Thanksgiving. So how do these families apply to feel that they want to be a part of that they need to be fed and nurtured? How does that process go?
Okay, so there's tons of ways that different people that contact me. All of the churches here know that we do it. The Salvation Army knows we do it. The mobile home parks, all of the housing authorities work with me. The hotels that are here. So we have a lot of key people who are in connection with people who are in need that know to reach out to us. In addition to that, we do shows like this. We'll do local radio shows. We're on several television programs. We'll be in the local media with my cell phone number. And people will literally text or call me and say, look, here's my situation, or here's my neighbor's situation, or here's what's happening. Can you help? And it goes from there, from word of mouth. So my cell phone number is 706-599-7525. And if you, for whatever reason, don't text or call, you can also go on our website. It's usually the other way around, but Love Him, Love Them. You can reach me through that or contact me.
Absolutely. Sarah, do you have some more questions?
But so like if we want to sponsor something for your Thanksgiving meal or whatever, we go to your website basically, and there's information.
You can go to our website, or again, give me a call. We have sponsorships available anywhere from $20 all the way up to $5,000. And if somebody would like to give more than that, they're welcome. But those sponsorships are all divvied out, and it says, $20 feeds one person, $50 feeds a family, $100 provides a meal for a family and all their groceries. Last year, this event ended up providing housing for, I told you we do anything they need. So, I mean, we ended up providing vehicles for people. We ended up providing jobs for people. We ended up providing housing for people. So that sponsorship money was very well divvied out. And to people that we follow up with and now are on a whole new horizon. Are
you also on social media?
Pardon me?
Are you also on social media?
Yes, we are on social media. So Love Him, Love Them.
Okay.
We are on Twitter. We are on Instagram. We are on Facebook. Our guest house, if you want to go to Haiti and stay there, our guest house is on as My Father's Guest House. And within the next week, we are launching our new Beauty for Ashes social media campaign with our fall line. This is how we keep our women out of sex trafficking in Haiti, is we make jewelry out of trash. And so that is not up at this second, but by October 19th, that will be launched. And this is also part of our vocational school. We've added that in there to be a class there for our ladies to teach, which then provides jobs. But yeah, we are currently employing 127 women in addition to our girls in our transition home that are making this. And we're very excited. We just had an opportunity to potentially be on QVC with that.
Oh, wow.
That will completely fund the hospital for another year. So lots of exciting things happening.
So I want to go back to the Thanksgiving meals. Are the opportunities for women, children, families in need only in the Livonia area?
No. We do Franklin County, Stevens County, Hart County, Banks County, anywhere right in Northeast Georgia. And if we've got somebody special that needs to be somewhere else, we've got plenty of volunteers that they'll drive. We've driven 2 to 3 hours to make sure that individual is met and that their needs are met. And mostly that connection is made. I mean, oh my goodness, this year more than ever, people are isolated. They're quarantined. They need a friendly voice. They need a light that can shine bright into their, even if it's from their porch on their window. This year more than ever, it's really important for that personal connection.
Absolutely. So in other words, for them to reach out to you, they call you or text you? Is that what you're saying? Or go to the website. There's a section. Is there a drop-down menu on the website, Linda? So what do they do?
No, and we're not going to, I don't know that we'll ever do it that way. And I'm going to tell you why. I want to have a personal conversation with every single person.
I agree.
That's been huge for me. When you start just having a list or somebody sends you a spreadsheet, it just doesn't work the same. When I have specifically spoken with each person and they can tell me exactly what their need is, now when I send the delivery, I know what delivery person to send out. I know what person would be the best match with that person. We had last year, I mean, oh my goodness, Celeste, someone had just committed suicide. Someone's child had just died. Someone had just drowned. I mean, you just can't send anybody to those locations. You have to have special. So I want to speak with them. I want to know what's happening so I can send the right person to make sure that they get what they need.
Absolutely. And your volunteers, do you do any volunteer training prior to any of this?
Oh, absolutely. And the big finale of that is at 6 p.m. on the Tuesday before Thanksgiving. We actually go through an entire visit to a home. We go through and tell them exactly how everything's going to work. It's very, very, very organized. I mean, you'd be surprised, but up here in the sticks, we know how to we know how to sling some turkeys up here. Okay.
There you go. So you mentioned,
I just looked at your website, and it's really easy to get around, and it's got some good information there.
Thank you. We have an amazing volunteer that handles that, Wesley Farnham, who has a digital company that he runs. Actually, he was just celebrated his wedding anniversary yesterday, September 21st. We married them off last year.
I saw that.
Happy anniversary.
Yeah. So you mentioned to us last time we were together about how you take Christmas to Haiti, and share about that and how can we help for this year?
Perfect. So we do what we call Christmas joy bags. Okay. So, and we start that at our Thanksgiving. There's actually a table at our Thanksgiving event where you can go and start setting up your Christmas joy bags. But this is really an amazing opportunity for women's groups, Bible studies, organizations, just friends, and even for grandmas. We have a lot of grandmas that'll take their grandchildren to like the dollar store and go through with this gallon bag. So the way that works, and that is it should be on our website where it says Christmas joy bags, and it does have a drop down of how what the stipulations for that are. But you make them for little girls and little boys, and then there's a color. For little girls is pink, for little boys is blue, or you can do big girls or big boys. For big girls is green, for big boys is red. I think you'll have to check that out. And so you put that on there, and you put in there whatever you want. With the process, that's all that kid's going to get for Christmas. That's it. And also knowing that most of them, not last year, 2 years ago, we were up on the mountain in Haiti. I don't know if you've read this story or heard about the story where we found the baby on the mountain, who is now in our orphanage. Her name is Rose. That was quite a story. But anyways, when we were up on the mountain, someone had given us some dolls and someone had given us some cute headbands for the teenage girls. And we let the kids that when we go for a Christmas, it coincides with when they get their report cards. And so we let the kids that had the best grades come up and choose whatever they wanted. And those girls walked past everything and took the bars of soap. That was the most important thing for them, was the bars of soap. So you want to make sure you put a bar of soap in your bag, toothbrush, toothpaste. It's really a fun thing for you as a family or as a group. We ask that you put $10 in the bag. That helps us with the shipping and the customs to get it all over to Haiti. And then the people that go with us on our Christmas mission trip, they get the joy of delivering all of those Christmas joy bags. So we deliver them to all of our orphanages, all of our churches, all of our schools, and then sometimes we'll do some surprise visits just out on the countryside, which is amazing. Now, it's very similar. Are you familiar with Operation Christmas Child?
Yes.
Yeah.
With Samaritan's Purse? Okay, so we run that in Haiti. Pastor Maxo, who is with us, he's actually the logistics manager for Samaritan's Purse. So we'll deliver over 35,000 of those Samaritan's Purse boxes. But the problem is, not a problem, the situation is Samaritan's Purse is very regimented in who can get those and how the gospel has to be presented and how it has to go through a specific pastor to make that happen. And I'm all for that. That's amazing. But that does leave a lot of people out. So our Christmas joy bags supplement the places that the Operation Christmas Child shoeboxes can't go. So we're going into the worst of the worst.
So do you already have your date for Christmas this year that you and your mission, for your mission trip?
Yes, ma'am. December the 21st through December the 28th. And if you go on the website, that trip is on there under mission trips. We're actually we have a trip October 21st. We're sending over some guys for a pastor training trip. We have our first medical trip December the 1st to December the 8th. That's why we got to get that container over there, because all these EMTs and doctors that are going, we need to make sure they have their supplies. And then we have 3 more trips before the end of the year. And then the Christmas trip, December the 21st through 28th.
So you go over there quite regularly and send people over there on a regular basis, several times a month, it sounds like.
Oh, yeah. Well, you have to be there.
So for your containers, do you collect all the donations and you store them up there in Livonia?
Well, isn't that an interesting question? So the last container that we sent, we somehow misjudged. We had 2 different health departments that donated everything that they had. And so somehow we misjudged that. So our last container, that's a story in and of itself. We did a whole television show about that. It was remarkable of how that all worked and didn't work. And one of the main reasons we opened the hospital in Haiti was to show people that there is another option besides voodoo. Okay, because that's typically where you end up when you have something wrong, is at a voodoo or a witch doctor. So we fought a lot of spiritual warfare opening the hospital. We fought a lot of spiritual warfare even trying to get products down there. But yes, we do have Rocky's Marine, which is now called Hartwell Storage, which is right around the corner from my house. They've donated really whatever we need. We're allowed to store there. And so we have that. And so we've got enough in there right now. We're just waiting. I need 20 more hospital beds. If you could give me anything to this call, you could tell, I know there are people who have had hospital beds in their home through hospice and people who have passed away. If you could part with that and realize what an amazing thing your bed would be doing. But I need 22 more hospital beds to put on that container to get that shipped down there, and an ultrasound machine. That's what I'm really looking for. And so, yeah, it'll be stored here. We'll have volunteers come. Volunteers will pack it. We'll have a volunteer drive it to Miami. And then we will have to raise funding to get the container from there to Haiti.
How long does it take for the container to go from Miami to Haiti? How long does it take? 2 days.
Yeah. We can get it. If I knew I had those 22 beds today, I'd have volunteers come Saturday. We'd pack it up and I'd get it down there. And they're crying. They're calling me every night saying, "Mommy Linda, we're having to put people on the floor. We've got to have beds." And see, the beds are not available in Haiti. It's not like you can say, "Okay, I'll send you money and you go buy them." They're not there. So.
Now, I know the containers can be expensive. Do you get those donated, or the shipping costs, basically?
So I've never done it before. I had no idea what I was doing. There's a first. Not really. So this last time we bought the container because the Pastor Mike So said I could really use that there for storage outside of the hospital. So we found out the price. I called a few people and then somebody donated the money to buy the container and they donated the money to ship the container. Everything else was volunteers. Volunteers loaded it, had a volunteer driver to drive it. Unity on a Mission, which is a ministry out of Gainesville, Georgia, that publishes the Battlefield News. They donated the driver, which was going to be very expensive. So yeah, God works it out, and we don't pay for it.
Very good. So what does Love Him, Love Them do in the United States for Christmas to help the local community? We know what you're doing for Thanksgiving. What are you doing while you have a team down in Haiti during Christmas? What do you do locally?
Wow, it's so exciting. So the event that took my best friend's life, that I ended up with her 5 children, her husband ended up in prison for that. So I have a very special place in my heart for jail ministry. And have for several years, many, many years, every Wednesday morning gone and ministered in jail. And so I have 5 kids that have a parent in jail. And so I have a special place in my heart for that. And so about 3 or 4 years ago, we started reaching out to all of the local jails. And we said we wanted to have a list of everybody that's in jail, all the kids they have. And we wanted to list, and I don't even know if this is legal or not, but this is how we did it. So tell us who your kids are and tell us who's got your kids. And you know, we just sent a letter through and talked with all the wardens and everything. And we said, because this is what we're going to do. We're going to reach out to whoever's got your kids, and we want to have an event for them. We want to do dinner for them. We want to present the gospel for them. We want to provide them with Christmas. That's how we started it. And then last year we did the same thing we did at Thanksgiving. It's December the 17th. We call it a night of hope. And we will provide them with, again, I'll speak with every family or whoever it is. You know, sometimes it's a wife whose husband is in jail. Sometimes it's the husband whose wife is in jail. Sometimes it's a grandparent. Sometimes it's just somebody like me that's a family that took them in. And so we'll interview them and find out what do you want for your kids. Then we also want to find out what do they need. And so last year, oh my gosh, last year was amazing. So last year, like before the event was over, we said, and there were probably, I don't even know, 300 people there, maybe more. And we said, don't anybody leave here tonight without whatever you need. If it's counseling, if it's a job, if it's a house, if it's transportation, whatever you need, don't leave here. I mean, that's a Christmas present, you know? Right. And so, and because of the volunteers that we have and the connections that we have, we can say that and do it. I mean, if somebody needs a job, we can find them a job. If somebody needs a truck, we can find them a truck up here, you know? And that's the way last year ended. So again, this year we'll have that night of hope, and we'll reach out to, and we expanded it because a lot of people are very regimented with who they can serve and who they can't serve. But we can do whatever we want. So, I mean, if I say it's for somebody that's in jail, but you happen to have somebody in prison, you know, you can come. You know, you don't have to just say, no, it's only for the jail or it's only this jail. We had people come in from wherever.
And where did you host that at? Where do you host that?
Well, I've done it at a different place every year. Sometimes I'll do it at a church. I try to find some place, and again, here I am, such a cheapskate. I try to find some place that's already decorated, so I don't have to decorate. So sometimes I'll use a church's fellowship hall that's already done up. One year we did it at a church called The Lift, which was beautiful. They had like a big Christmas something or other going on. I think they had like 700 trees in there. So we just stepped in after their event and used theirs. Last year we did it at the Salvation Army, which is I think where we'll do it again this year. So yeah, we're just wherever.
Well, very good. Well, I know that when you were our guest on our last show, Linda, Sara and I are the co-founders of Women of Community Impact, and we said that we want to be able to help love him, love them during Thanksgiving and Christmas. So I'm looking forward to getting together with you. I'll be back in Atlanta this weekend, so I'm looking forward that we get together and we talk about that and how we can serve. Love him, love them during
so
Thanksgiving
Celeste,
and Christmas.
Let me help you, Celeste. There's a lot of thems in your life that if you don't love him, you can't love them.
Yeah,
you got to
right.
love him first so you can love them.
Absolutely. And that's one of the favorite things that we love to do in our servant leadership is every year during Thanksgiving and Christmas, we're either providing meals for Thanksgiving for the women and children at the homeless shelters. And, you know, one thing that we have learned in serving and is that a lot of times we're in these shelters, you have all these nonprofit organizations or all these business entities that want to help and do for the children, but very few people do for the mothers.
Yeah.
And this is what we did different several years ago is that we made it a point that there was enough organizations donating to this, you know, homeless shelter for the kids. We're going to do the women. And we even did a women's project for Mother's Day where we honored the mothers, and not a lot of people think in that avenue. Like you say, backwards or this, but we said, no, it's the mothers. They're the least respected and honored, and we want to do something for them. So we definitely, you can count us in for
We've already got you a space saved. We already saved this space. I'm just waiting for you to tell us. We got you.
Well, we're going to come up there and have some coffee and visit and get everything lined up so we can get back and start promoting it, because it's not something you just do overnight.
Yeah.
You've got to work
Wow.
on that, especially when you're talking about being engaged with food. Was it food hunger or hunger food? 10,000 packages of food, as well as the local community of 3,000 people. So, and maybe there's something that we can also bring to the table, Linda, where maybe we have some people in the Gwinnett County area that we can bring to the table with that.
Yes.
We're waiting on you. You're just such a busy chick. It's hard to get you pinned down.
That it is.
Well, I'll be pinned down. Go ahead, Sarah.
No, you are a busy person. I missed out on my monthly Waffle House because she's not around.
Well,
Traveling around with some chef. I don't know who that guy is.
I know.
Chef Mike or something. I don't know who he is.
absolutely. Well, I am blessed, and again, Sarah and I, our relationship started 7 years ago, where we met in a networking group, and we were serving with Heart of Gwinnett, and we have helped contribute to the ambulances to the neonatal center. We have helped with the Amanda Riley Foundation, Children with Cancer, sex trafficking. We've done so much together, and that's one thing that I love about Sarah, and why Sarah and I get along so good, is we're servant heart leaders, and it's all about serving and helping other people. It's not about us. This whole show here tonight is not even about us. It's about how can we help and serve you? How can we promote you? How can we get other people in the community involved? And that's what we love the most, is giving back and serving from a servant place.
Right. And that's where joy comes from.
Yes.
My husband always says, he puts it on a little acronym. JOY is putting Jesus first, others second, and yourself last. That's what the Bible says, is that we are to deny ourselves. You don't hear that very often now. If we were living by the Bible now, what's happening in this world would not be happening. If we would just love him and love them, if we would deny ourselves and put others first, which is what Jesus told us to do, but we're not doing that.
No.
I totally agree. And and one of our leader here, Penny Rogers, does a women's Bible study and is in the Christian ministry, and I just adore her and love her for what she does, especially through her service and leadership, as well as WCEG, because she has a heart of serving and loving him first and loving others. And Penny, we just love you because we know that you love him first, and you love others, and you love the community, the WCEG community. And I want to give a round of recognition to WCEG. I don't know all the particulars, but I think it's posted on one of my social media pages that the WCEG network here came in number 5 in a certain category for the radio show. She's going to tell me. But anyways, it comes in for the category that the WCEG is number 5, with amongst many, many other local or statewide radio stations. Globally. There you go. Globally, number 5 globally. And then I think it's another number 3 for something else that they came in. So Penny has just really, I met
first in talk radio genre. She's just put it up for us. She gave us a little sneak peek.
Yes, first in talk radio, however you say that word.
Genre.
Thank you, Linda. You know more than me.
That's one probably on P language. I speak several languages, right? Yeah, that's actually French. So.
Yeah, but again, that's why, Sarah and I, we connect with a lot of like-minded people, and I connected with Penny 4 years ago, had the opportunity to speak on a radio show. She invited me back, and she had a vision of doing a global legacy of talking finances and helping business entrepreneurs and people. And then, Sarah and I are passionate about the nonprofit industry, that this is how our marriage came together, where we had a marriage with WCEG to globally help business entrepreneurs and corporations and people grow their business, and then also help in the nonprofit arena. That's what we're here today, talking about the nonprofit arena and how we can help promote nonprofits and how we can be involved to help grow nonprofits to serve, because it's all about that ripple effect and giving back and serving. When we serve, like you say, Linda, when we serve him first and we love him first, we love others, and it's a ripple effect. And that's what we love about you, is you just have one of the biggest hearts as well, and serving the Haitian community and the things that you're doing, as well as the local community. And you know what? It just takes one person to have a goal and a mission and a dream and a vision and want to have joy in their heart. And then it becomes contagious and people want to get involved. And next thing you know, we have this one little thing that comes in, it manifests into something super huge and big. And next thing you know, in a few short years, look what you're doing, a hospital, you know, all the different places that you have down there in Haiti, all because you went down there and had joy.
Oh, so crazy. Yeah, my pastor has done a series the past 6 weeks called Contagious Christianity. He said, you know, wouldn't it be amazing if Christianity could be as contagious as COVID was? You know, if the problem is that most people who say they're Christians don't live a life bright enough that anybody wants what that person's got.
Well,
So, yeah.
and that's true. That is so true. But and that's why it's so important to be a good example and to live that example, and not to judge other people, because we are, you know, we're all one person. So
Correct. But I think it is our job to shine bright. That is our job.
well, I agree. And Linda, we can't thank you enough for joining us again. And I look forward to reaching out to you next week. I'll send you a message and we'll find out. And Sarah, hopefully maybe you've got some time and you can go with me. But we've been talking about getting together, having coffee. And I'll be honest, I mean, I was in town in Atlanta, but then I had to leave. And then I thought, well, she's been to Haiti and this COVID. I think I'll wait and let her stay here about another 10 days before I want to go hook up with her. So I'm being authentic and honest.
Now the truth comes out. I wondered what the holdup was. Okay.
Yeah. So anyways, but yes.
Energy. I want some of that, the energy. You are so full of energy and enthusiasm.
And well, oh, that's right, Sarah. You weren't here when we entered. You were on vacation, and you know, and Tanya from up there and coming for not Home of Hope, but Hope of what is it, Linda? What is?
Well,
Tanya?
if you hadn't said all those other words, I could tell you. I can't tell you.
I can't tell you, but anyway, she donated a lot of medical stuff.
Yeah, she showed up at the container that Monday with wheelchairs. I think she went through every one of her storage units and then showed up. And I don't know if I haven't sent it yet. The very first day we pulled out one of her wheelchairs and used it. Yeah, that was amazing. That group of ladies, the group that you had on that time, we were all able to interact. But yeah, I was really shocked when she showed up.
No, she's an awesome individual. And again, we look forward to having her back on the show again. So we're going to close here. Just want to thank you and give us one more time how people can reach out to you, your phone number, your website, please.
So we are Love Him, Love Them. Our new this is our 2020 calendar, but that'll make it real clear too. Love Him, Love Them. And we are on all forms of social media that way. So you can find us on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram. And then also our website, very simply, is lovehimlovethem.org. And then if you'd like to reach out to me personally, you can text or call me, or actually email me right there with my name and the ministry is there, linda@lovehimlovethem.org. And then my cell phone number is 706-599-7525. Thank you so much for letting me come back. I never know once somebody says I'm loud if that means I get to come back or not. I didn't know.
That's right. Well, I am looking forward to meeting all those children, maybe even breaking bread, having fellowship and a meal. So I'll be in touch. I want it all. I want to experience it all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate you. My heart loves your heart.
Yes.
Good night.
Good night.
Bye-bye. Good night. Wow, Sarah.
Another amazing group.
Group of people. Absolutely.
Just the things that when people set their mind to what they can do, it's just amazing.
Absolutely. I think Christine Martinella was my co-host while you were on vacation when we had Linda and we had Bobby and Lisa Patterson and Tanya up there and coming. I can't think of that name to save my life, and I apologize for that. But anyways, it's just an amazing story. And I just love how we have brought these people together and people are helping and volunteering and donating and serving. And I'm looking forward to what our nonprofit, the Women of Community Impact, can do to help during this last quarter of the year. We always do something for Home of Hope, the Gwinnett Children's Shelter for the women and children. I'm sure we'll continue with that for the Thanksgiving dinner and the Christmas, but we can also
always help more people.
We can help more people. And I'm looking forward to, if not this year, but next year, being a part of one of the mission trips to Haiti with Linda Gunter and maybe bringing the Women of Community Impact to that as like a summit. So it'd be interesting.
Yes, that would be good.
And last but not least, I just, again, as we close, want to thank Penny Rogers with WCEG Talk Radio and her committee and board for giving us this opportunity to have this show here twice a month. It's the first and third Tuesday of each month. The first Tuesday is always for profit, and the third Tuesday is nonprofit. And want to congratulate Penny on being number 5 globally with WCEG Talk Radio, and the first number 1 in talk radio dictionary, however you say that.
Now I can't say it.
You got it. So anyways, Penny's laughing at us. So anyways, we love our community. If you have any questions, you can go to WCEG Talk Radio. We'll be glad to answer them. And I think our next show is whatever the first Tuesday of October is and the third Tuesday. And then in November, I think we're November 10th. And then that should be our last show for this year. We'll be on holiday for the Christmas holidays, Thanksgiving holidays, doing our service projects, and hopefully coming back in 2021. So with that said, thank you. And thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.
Look forward to seeing you in a few days, my friend.
All right. Thanks, Penny.
Thank you, Penny. Love you. Bye-bye.
Bye.